Hello, everybody. It's me, Roscoe, and welcome to the latest edition of the Kings of Anglia Track the Girls Talk podcast, sponsored by Stardust Spirits and Molecular. Still trying to get used to that. Yeah, Tom, thank you very much for helping me. Yeah, I did the same on the flagship show. I'll get there one day, but two very good local companies in Suffolk, so check them out if you haven't already. But yes, we're here to bring you another Ipswich Town Women's podcast, who are now in the WSL 2, and they've had their two opening games, which has been a tough start to life for the Track the Girls in the second tier. But Tom, how's things with you? We've been at both games, so we're going to talk about them in depth, the good things, the bad things. But how are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Obviously nice to be back at it. Sure we're going to come on to it, but it hasn't been the best of starts for them. Tough, but yeah, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well as well. It's been nice, me and you, been going to the games. Obviously, we had a nice little trip down to Southampton. The game wasn't the highlight, it was our trip and just going to the services, getting some food and then coming home. And then obviously we're at Colchester on Sunday for the first home game in the WSL 2. It was very weird being in Colchester instead of Felixstowe, but we have to get used to it. But yeah, my friend, 2 defeats to open the season, 4-0 at Southampton and 1-0 against Nottingham Forest, who are a newly promoted team just like us. Just your opening thoughts on the 2 games. What's the sort of standout sort of talking points from them? Because 2 different games, but sadly, both games were well beaten in.
Yeah, I think the thing that just is overriding what I noticed was just how physical the league is. I know that Joe, in his pre-match press conference ahead of Southampton, said, the step up from the National League to WSL 2 is probably far bigger than the step from WSL 2 up to the WSL. And I think in the first couple of games you've seen that. It's especially in the Southampton game. I think that within the first 10 minutes you could tell just how tough it was going to be for them that day, and the physicality of it is like nothing that they would have faced at the National League level. So I think that's the main standout from the 2 games, is just how physical they have to be to compete at this level.
Yeah, very much so. An learning curve for them. And to be fair, though, to Joe Shear's side, in the Southampton game, there were 6 players making their debuts in the starting 11 in the WSL 2. So they've got to obviously learn on the job, although they're always wanting to, this is where they want to be. In that 11, there's, academy graduates, obviously Natasha Thomas, who's been part of this journey from tier 4. But yeah, that was sort of nice sort of moment, though, Tom, sort of seeing these players who are part of that promotion winning team, making their first step up in the second tier.
Yeah, great for them. Obviously, that's what they've all been pushing for so long. A few of them had opportunities to get to this level already, but they wanted to do it with Ipswich, and they got that opportunity. And it was great to see them play at this level and test themselves and learn from it. And it's something that you can't really prepare for until you actually have to do it. So it's good that they've been able to have that opportunity, and they'll get better. Of course they will. They'll get more used to the pace of it and how strong you need to be and things like that. So it's good to see them. Good to see them out there, especially players like Tash, who have been here for so long and all-time top scorer, all-time appearance maker. To start against Southampton, I'm sure that must have been a fantastic moment for her, as it would have been for the other 5 players.
Yeah, definitely. Although I wasn't a fan of her on the wing, just up top always for me. But I think obviously at the time Joe was just sort of testing it out, seeing what he could do with the team that he had available as well, because there is a few injuries. But yeah, we won't talk too much about the Southampton game because we were there and did a video verdict and all that stuff. So check that out if you haven't already, ladies and gentlemen. That's online. And obviously that was a week or so ago now. But yeah, the big sort of talking point from that game, Tom, though, was the goals conceded, because out of the 4, 3 of them were from corners and Luton balls in the box. And that is something, Joe and the team have sort of improved on from the Nottingham Forest game, but that was sort of the bit of the worry. And yeah, you've got to defend corners a bit better.
Yeah, you do. I mean, Southampton are a tall side, especially their defender. I think her name is Amy Goddard, who scored one of the goals. She's very tall, and you could see that from the off, but I don't think there's any excuse for one of the goals was at the front post, and just flicked into the far corner, which I think is pretty much one of the first things you learn in football is if a corner's not going to be able to get past the first person, then you clear it and clear your lines. But they didn't do that, and they were punished. They did learn a little bit from it. I know that the goal against Forest came from a recycled corner, again a looping ball into the box. So it is something that they do need to work on. And Joe, said to me after Southampton that is something that they will look at, because you can't concede 3 goals from high looping balls into the box, and keep doing it throughout the season, because teams at this level will punish you for it.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll be in their team talks every week. Like, Ipswich Town not good at defending corners, but I'm sure Town, as we saw, have improved on it a little bit, and that's obviously only 1 week of trying to work on it as well. So yeah, that's sort of Southampton. Draw the line after that. That was just a tough start to the season, not ideal, losing 4-0. And then now they took on Nottingham Forest in their first home game in Colchester, which was still, as I said, feels strange when I was turning up at Colchester, not being in Felixstowe. I was wanting to go into the sweet shop and getting a burger or something, but no, we got into Colchester. But good thing, nice shout out to Ipswich and Colchester, sort of branding the stadium, first of all, Tom, because that was my sort of worry. It just wouldn't feel like it would be a home for Ipswich, but there was like an Ipswich badge, there was branding around the stadium, obviously Town fans in their stand as well. That's sort of nice sort of takeaway from the game in terms of the stadium.
Yeah, definitely. They did a really good job of making it feel like Ipswich Town Women's home rather than a ground that they were borrowing. So yeah, it looked really good. I'm sure the WSL had some part to play as well. Not sure how they're going to do it, because that is a massive task to get rid of all the advertising hoardings, replace them with Colchester United ones, and put them in place as well, because obviously some companies will have paid for in front of camera, so that must be a massive undertaking. So I don't know how they're going to do that, but fair play, they did make it feel like a home for Ipswich. I've seen some Colchester United fans on Twitter not best pleased with it, and making it feel a little bit not nice. I know that I wouldn't feel very nice if a club came to Portman Road and started putting up all their logos and things around. But no, they did a really good job, and it did look. It took some getting used to, but it did look really good. And the pitch was brilliant as well. Looked like a really good playing surface for the players.
Yeah, I'm sure Joe's very happy about that, and I'm sure you're happy, Tom, because you've got a press box to work in now as well. Because at Felixstowe, you had to work in like a hut, and you had to sort of look over people. This time around, you've got your own little spot. The table, there's better press boxes in the Football League, but in terms of like for yourself to be able to work in a press box, and people listen to this, you may not know this situation, but yeah, Tom, it's good for a person who's doing the types and doing a match report to have a nice sort of desk and a seat to work on, instead of like trying to find out what's going on the game and running into a hut in Felixstowe. So yeah, nice little change there, my friend.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the first things that I said when I sat down was the view. The view was brilliant. I was able to see the entirety of the pitch. There was no floodlight in the way. I wasn't running up and down a sort of stand concourse thing and then back into a hut so that I could charge my laptop. There was charging output ports outside, which was great. There was a little press room, which was lovely, with tea, which is an absolute godsend, especially yesterday. It was quite cold. I wasn't expecting it to be that cold, but it's an open ground, Colchester. So
Get used to it, mate. It's going to get cold up.
December and January. I'm dreading December and January, if I'm honest. But no, it was good, and to have that facility, it does make a big difference. Like the last game of last season, I think I missed, I'd say probably 5 or 6 of the 8 goals that were scored, because I couldn't see over everyone's heads. But I was able to see everything this game. So yeah, that was lovely.
Definitely, my friend, and yeah, that's a step up, and obviously it is a step up for the team as well, playing against teams who have obviously not in Forest as well. The team we're going to be speaking about now, they have made a lot of signings in the summer and some really big signings. I think even Joe said in one of the clips we're going to play very shortly that he thinks they're going to be up there this year, and that's a bit of a worry in a way, because it's like a team that just got promoted with us, and he thinks they're going to be up there. But they've obviously put a lot of money in it, and they've bought some good players in. So yeah, let's actually hear from Joe now, Tom. We spoke to him after the game with good old Connor Bennett from the BBC to hear his thoughts on the result. So over to you.
Joe, difficult day at the office today. Very narrow defeat. How you feeling?
My initial reaction is I'm pleased with the progress from last week. The list of areas of improvement off the back of last week was quite long, and that's been reduced, which is positive, and certainly signs of us competing better. Ultimately still didn't do enough to get something from the game, but yeah, pleased with the progress that we've made already since last week.
It was a scrappy game at the start of it, and very little to separate the two sides. Where do you think your team sort of didn't quite get over the line?
Well, we knew we're planning. It's a really good team. I think they'll be right up there at the end of the season. I think you can see that with the recruitment they've made and their ambitions. So, thought we gave them very little at times, and tried to sort of force some unforced errors and try to tackle in the middle of the pitch and try to get them on a counter attack, which I think we've done perhaps 2 or 3 times in the first half. I think Peskett went through, twice. Looked like we might have stole something in that moment, but yeah, once we went behind, we obviously had to be a bit more proactive about the ball, made some changes and tried to have a little bit more of a go at them, and wasn't able really to do enough. But yeah, like I said, it's positive signs off the back of last week's defeat.
All right then, Tom, there's Joe Sheehan talking about the game. We're going to hear from Corey Robertson later on, the Ipswich Town midfielder as well. So look forward to that, ladies and gentlemen. But let's talk about the first half, first of all, Tom, because it was an even start. So Peskett was doing her normal stuff, sort of wanting to impress the home fans for the first time this season at Colchester, doing her normal, rewarding down the wing, trying to battle her fullback. How was your thoughts on that sort of first 30 minutes? Because Town were in it.
Yeah, I thought it was a very even, start. I thought both teams wanted to get off to a good start, obviously, and they sort of cancelled each other out. As you said, Sophie Peskett got on the ball a lot more and did what every Ipswich fan knows her to do, which is just take on her player, take on her marker. Lucy O'Brien also got on the ball a lot more and tried to make things happen, which neither of them got on the ball enough at Southampton. Sophie Peskett did, but only in the second half, which is why they improved. And they did try and make things happen, but it just didn't come. And then Forest had a spell where they were on top. Ipswich rode their luck on probably more than one occasion. I think if Forest were a little bit more, established at this level, they'd have probably taken definitely at least one. There was an open goal that somehow went into the side netting, and another one where I remember a Forest player just cutting inside and then for some reason not shooting and laying it off terribly to someone who was free in space. But it could have been 2-0 up before half time, but it wasn't. Ipswich held on, and there was a real opportunity then in the second half to go and attack it and do what they did in the first half, but put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, and Nat Negri as well had to make a really good save in that first half, and she gets a lot of praise in this game. She doesn't get the player of the match in this one because there's a certain player I want to talk about later on, but Nat definitely kept us in the game for most part with some good saves and just sort of being assured and showing her sort of ability in goal. But I'm sure Joe was not happy. You know, you have that team talk at half time, go, "You've done well, girls, done pretty well," and that sort of just gets ripped apart because obviously Nottingham Forest score very early on in the second half. And it just sort of probably changes his half-time team talk because, Forest go 1-0 up.
Yeah, probably the worst time to concede. You want to keep it level for as long as possible and get a foothold on it. And then you go and concede. I think it was 2 or 3 minutes into the second half, and it's again a looping ball, recycled corner, not dealt with. I think it was a overhead kick that was skewered, but fell nicely into the path of Garcia, who lifted it over Negri, and that was 1-0. And then Forest had something to defend, and as you say, can probably completely changed what Joe Sheehan said at halftime to the players. And yeah, just a really awful time to concede. They needed to hold out for probably at least 10 minutes in that second half to just get up to speed again and have some attacks of their own. But obviously, when you concede that early on, it really is a blow.
Yeah, very much so. And is Garcia the player from Spain? And she's played for Real Madrid and won caps for Spain. So I think that's right.
I didn't look that up. I'll be honest. I can't pronounce her first name.
Don't ask me, mate.
No, I'm not going to. But I mean, she might well have done.
Do you know what? Research for the game.
Garcia.
Yeah, she's the one from Real Madrid. So she's on loan from Denver Summit in America, but she did play for Real Madrid. She played 45 times for Real Madrid, 11 goals.
Oh, there you
go. Played for Spain. So that's the quality at which you're playing against this season, and that gets even more bigger when they play other teams. But the thing, Forest have obviously recruited really well. And at the end of the day, Town were just beaten by a better team, weren't they, Tom? Town tried to push for an equaliser, but the press was just too good from Forest. Really, Town were very fortunate not to go 3-0 down. Defended okay. Negri, of course, was key part of that. But did you ever feel like Town could get a goal?
No. I'll be honest, I didn't. I didn't think they. As you say, the press was too good. So everything that I think Ipswich tried didn't work. Obviously, they tried playing it around at the back and working their way forward. It didn't work. They tried, long balls up, didn't work. So I think it was a really, really tough game against probably, as Joe said, probably a team that will be up there because they knew how to do it, and they've clearly got some good players in over the summer. So I didn't think that they were going to score. But I mean, again, they're learning. Joe's learning as well. Obviously, never managed at this level, so they're all takes positives from both games that they've had so far, and the goals will come. We know that they will because you don't score however many in one season and then not score in the next. So they will get goals. May just take a little bit of patience.
Yeah, very much so. And it's what you got to be, patience. But obviously in this league, a few bad results because there's only 22 games or so, isn't it? On 24 games. How many leagues? 11? Yeah, 22 games. There's 12 teams in there. It's it's a learning curve, I'm sure, from Joe Sheehan's team. We're going to hear from Kyra Robertson up next to get her thoughts on the game and the step up as well. So let's hear it from Town's midfielder.
Kyra, difficult start to the season and a difficult result today.
Yeah, obviously not what we would have liked the outcome of the game to be. But I definitely think moving on from last week is something we can build on, take some confidence. And this league we knew was small margins, so if we can really get tighter on our set pieces and nullify their set pieces and deal with them, then we can start building and hopefully getting results in the league.
Yeah, Joe was saying about how it's important to show progress each week, and there's a big step up for the performance from last week. So feeling positive about that. Where do you think this side improved today?
I think every area, if I'm honest. Last week at Southampton, I think it weren't good enough at all in all aspects. This week, I think we showed more fight, more togetherness. I think we were more compact, and tactically, I think we executed the game plan a lot better than, like I said previously. I think coming into the league, you get told a lot about, the changes and the step up, but you can't really get a feel for it until you're exposed to it. So I think each game it's just adapting, and we'll get more used to it, and we'll be able to build. And yeah, like I say, hopefully the results will start coming as long as we keep making progress.
Because WSL 2 so far, it is a physical league, really physical. I thought Forest, their press was unbelievable. They were relentless, and as a player who's out there, you're always covering the grass everywhere, every level you've been at. How have you found the adjustment? It seems like it's a real big step up.
Yeah, like I say, definitely a step up. I think just the intent in which they move the ball, you've got to shift a lot quicker. And I think the small margins are these will execute and be clean as well. So if you're not there in the split second, whereas before you may be able to gamble on the fact that the opposition won't be tidy on the ball, now you'll just get punished for it. So I think physically it's definitely a step up and something we're adjusting to, and I don't think we're far off it. I think today we've shown a much better account of ourselves and where we're at. So yeah, definitely a step up, but something I think we're able to adapt to.
Okay then, Tom, let's talk then about some positives, because I will admit there's not been many from the opening 2 games, unfortunately, for the Tractor Girls. But one player that for me, I want to sort of give a praise to, and that is Leah Mitchell, who's sort of playing out of position. She's still a very young player, but from the 2 games so far, I thought she played really well, especially against Nottingham Forest, getting into tackles, really battling well. Yeah, good to see.
Yeah, very good. Player of the match against Forest, and Joe said after Southampton that he wanted that physicality and height in the midfield, which is why she started there. Obviously, she's not primarily a midfielder. We saw her at right back pretty much all of last season, but she's done really, really well. She is very assured on the ball. She picks it up and tries to make things happen. She is strong, tall, and that obviously helps. And yeah, been really impressed by her, especially someone so young, also never played at this level before. I don't think she's looked out of place at all in the midfield. So yeah, a really positive sign from the last 2 games.
Yeah, definitely, and especially a player that's come through the youth academy. So I'm sure Joe's very happy with that. A player that he's worked with for a long time, which is good. I want to talk now, Tom. Get the first impressions on the new signings. Most of them have pretty much made their debut. I think there's 1 or 2 that have yet to play because they're sort of coming back from injuries. But yeah, they've been able to come into the team. They've had obviously a tough start. But who's like to start with first? We've got Grace Neville, Bethan Rowe, Paige Peake, Jenna Deere, Maddie Earle, and Rihanna Dean. There's also Ruby Doe, but we sort of know about her anyway. But should we start with Grace Neville, who's playing at right back? Obviously experienced at this level before, New Zealand international. Thoughts on her so far?
Yeah, she's looked good. I think she had a tough time against Forest because their press was really good. I remember mentioning, I think it was their number 33. Closing everything down. She every time she looked to go forward, I think the ball was just closed down every single time. So had a little bit of a tough game against Forest, but you don't win this league, if you're not a good player. So yeah, she's shown glimpses of what she can do, and I look forward to seeing more of her in that right back position. Whether she's made that her own or not, or whether Joe's plans to put Leah Mitchell back there and move Grace elsewhere. Wait to see, but yeah, look forward to seeing more of her.
Definitely, and she's linking up with Pescott as well. I know it's only early days, but it's good to see them having a little bit of a connection against Forest. Bethan Rowe, she's at left back. Did she go in midfield in this game? I swear she did.
Yeah.
So that's another position she can, I think, play. Another player that she knows this league very well, and she's going to be heading back to the Valley this weekend. But yeah, I think she's done okay so far.
Yeah, she's done very well. She is. I thought she was good when she moved into midfield. Actually, on Sunday, I thought she looked really positive in that position. At left back, again, it's been a really difficult start for her at Town because obviously, you know, as a defender, you've conceded 5 goals in unfortunately 2 games, which, you know, is never good. But from what I've seen from her, she does look good. She looks like she's able to run up that wing as well, which is always positive. I think there were a number of times that she got into good crossing positions on Sunday. So, yeah, again, another one that I look forward to seeing more of. She'll grow into the team. She'll get more used to it. And again, you don't make over 100 appearances at this level if you're not good enough. So, yeah, she'll come good. And once the results start coming in, then it will look a lot more positive for all the new signings.
Yeah, definitely. And another defender, obviously, here, Paige Peake, who we know of a little bit. And yeah, she's part of a back line that has conceded 5 goals. But I think, once again, they're getting to know each other a little bit again. I know, obviously, Paige knows Boz well because of the academy thing, but now playing at a different tier is always going to be difficult. There was a moment where she was stepping up for a free kick in this game, and I thought, here we go. This is trademark Paige Peake territory. And I thought she was going to score. I was in a perfect position as well. I was going to go, I want to get this great shot of her scoring a free kick, and then hopefully she'll celebrate my way. But in the end, it didn't. But yeah, it's a sort of tough start to life back at Town. But I think she'll be all right in the end.
Yeah, she'll be absolutely fine. It's just a new back 4 that need to get used to each other. They've not, other than Boz and Peake, they've not played together. And that's not going to click instantly. They need time to get used to one another and play it around the back more and learn how each other play. So yeah, it will take some work, but she's another one that is more than capable at this level. So once they all settle, once they get used to each other, I'm sure it will be a very different backline, and confidence and things like that will flow through them a lot more. And as you say, she's also good from set pieces. I know the free kick on Sunday was not as good, but you don't get your hopes up when a player steps up for a free kick unless you know that she can take them. I'm going to out Connor here, but he whipped his phone out ready to record a video because he had a feeling it was heading for the top corner. Yeah, everyone knows what she's capable of. She's been here before. They just need to gel and get used to each other.
Yeah, they do indeed. We're now going to mention a player that played 2 different positions over the last 2 games, I think, anyway. Jenna Deere, who is a midfielder. She played as number 10, starting. Obviously, she replaced Natasha Thomas in this game. Obviously, Tash was playing the 10 and Deere was playing the 10. Lucy O'Brien went on the left wing. But for me, I think she's better deeper. But I did like some of the touches she had in this game. And yes, another player that's experienced this level. We're going to probably say that with all the signings, maybe not Maddie Earl. But first thoughts on her? I think she's a player that's technically really good.
Yeah, technically very good. She was a standout at Southampton. I remember when she came on, her and Pescott linked up really well, which is why we saw Pescott doing the runs that everyone's got so used to, because they were linking up really well. And again, she had some really good moments in this game. She's not afraid to battle for the ball, which is always good to see from an attacking player. So look forward to seeing more of her. That whole front look is going to look be really interesting to see who plays where, because obviously Lucy O'Brien started Southampton as attacking midfielder, played left wing this game. I think Peskett is the only player, and Rihanna Dean, that have, kept their positions both games. Jenna Deere, Tash, and Lucy O'Brien have all sort of mix and matched which positions they're playing in. So it'll be interesting to see going forward who plays where and what Joe wants to do with that front line.
Definitely. And yeah, like Rihanna Dean, we can't really mention much about her because she sadly hasn't really had much to sort of play with, really. She was sort of chasing shadows, unfortunately, against Nottingham Forest Southampton game. Just, isolated up top because we weren't creating many chances. So can't really bring you much first impressions on her just yet, but hopefully she will show what she's all about and score some goals. But she'll obviously battle with Tash for that position. Maddie Earl, can't say it properly. That's easy. But no, of course, on loan from Arsenal. She looks very much like Eloise King. She's like the regen of Eloise King. When she came on against Southampton, I think we both sort of jokingly said that. And then even Kieran, good old Kieran Stanley, friend of the show, he also mentioned the same thing when he texted me and sort of said, Eloise King's just come on for Ipswich Town. No, it's Town's Maddie. So obviously Eloise is now up the road. But yeah, Maddie, she's sort of been lively when she's come off the bench.
Yeah, she has been. On that Eloise King reference, I think it's the way they wear their hair. It's exactly the same. But no, she's looked really positive when she's come on. You can tell that she's got that excitement, of playing at this level and trying to make things happen, and highly rated by Arsenal. So you know that she's sort of going to be, pretty good to be rated highly by one of the best probably one of the best women's teams in the world. So, she's looked lively when she's come on. I don't think Southampton, was the right game, obviously, for her to come on. It was a very physical game, and, she's only 18, I think. But against Forest, she picked up the ball, happy to drop deep as well to pick up the ball and try and make things happen, try and run with it. I remember her winning a few throw-ins from tackles and just trying to take on her marker. So she'll be a really, really positive signing. Obviously, another attacking player that I think can play sort of across the front line as well. So she's another one to throw into the mix as to where she can play.
Definitely, and I'm sure they'll get better and better, and we'll do another probably chat later on in a few months' time to sort of talk about how they've done. And yeah, Tom, it doesn't get any easier because up next is a trip to the Valley to take on Charlton Athletic, who are unbeaten so far. They beat Palace on the opening day 1-0, and they got a good result, scoring 2 late goals against Durham to get all 3 points. So they're top of the table as it stands. And another team that are established in this division. It's going to be another tough game for Joe Sheehan's side.
Yeah, it don't get any easier. They're the only team with the 100% record so far, which is rare. Actually, 2 games in, you'd expect for at least probably 1 or 2 more teams to have won both games. But Charlton are the only team to have done it. Obviously, we knew that they were good. They finished 3rd last season, so certainly no pushovers. Obviously, 3rd this season would get you into a playoff against bottom of the WSL, I think. Obviously knew that they were going to be good. Adds a little bit extra difficulty that they're top of the league and Ipswich are sadly bottom. Only on goal difference because Portsmouth also have 0 points. But again, it will be another test. Charlton are a team that will be up there probably. The Valley is not an easy place to go to either. So it'll be tough, of course it will. But Joe will probably just go there and say, listen, we're playing top of the league. Established WSL side, just do what you can. We've worked in training, got 2 games to show for it. Learn stuff from Southampton, another established WSL 2 side, and take that into this game and see what you can do.
Yeah, very much so. And we've got another clip here from Joe talking about the new home. I want to also big a shout out to the fans as well because that was a good atmosphere. Obviously, the drum, good old Megan Waring's dad. Andrew there leading that. But yeah, good atmosphere. Obviously, once again, you at the end of the game, even though it was a defeat, fans stayed around to get autographs from the players. I'm sure town supporters are going to have to get used to maybe more defeats this season to what they've been used to in years gone by. But I'm sure they'll support the team through thick and thin. As I think Cairo is actually another clip we're going to be playing about Cairo. Maybe she's already been played. Sorry if I've sort of completely butchered this, but I know she did mention in one of the clips we may have played. Just like the club have been saying a lot, you never get too high with the highs, and you never get too low with the lows. Because this is going to be a tough season, but it's a new season. They're going to have to adapt. But me and Tom will be there all the way as well. We'll try our best to keep a balanced view on it as well. We are going to bring you a next podcast after the Portsmouth game, because that's the sort of perfect way to sort of sum up the first month of the season, because they've obviously got Leicester City in the Subway League Cup, and then obviously end the month with a home tie against Portsmouth, who obviously are going to be a team we'll be battling potentially at the bottom of the table. But our predictions are out the window though, Tom, because we said they're going to score in every...
Well, they might still... I said that they were going to... I think we both actually said that they were going to score against every team that they face. So, I mean, that now puts pressure on them scoring against Southampton at home and against Forest away. But there is still hope. There is still small hope, but there is still hope.
Yeah, I think my prediction, I was like, they were going to score in every game, at least one, even if it's a consolation. Even if they scored against Southampton, it would be a nice consolation. And then, actually, it would have been a nice point if it was a goal against Forest. But that's out the window, but it is what it is. But, I'm sure Joe is going to make sure they'll do a lot of work on the training grounds to improve on stuff they are not doing so good at the moment. But Tom, you're off to Croatia. So enjoy that, my friend. But any other business as we wrap up another Try to Girls Talk podcast?
I don't think so. I don't know what happened with the attendance yesterday, but I do think that I don't know whether the ground said it wrong or I misheard it, but it was actually more than what I said it was. I heard it as 1,170, but I think the club put out this morning 1,436 or something like that. I'm probably completely wrong with the last two numbers, but it was a really good support, more than I said there was, and which is great to see. I'm sure that the players and Joe would have appreciated that. People coming to not Croatia, that's where I'm going. People coming to Colchester, to watch the team play at their new home. I'm sure it meant a lot to them.
Yeah, definitely, my friend. To be fair, I did hear the same as well, what you put down. But
Okay.
I think
So I'm not losing my marbles.
No, I think maybe just they were able to calculate differently with other tickets they sold, maybe on the day and stuff, and maybe they just anyway. It was a good crowd, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes,
So thanks for coming, and I hope you enjoyed the day despite the defeat. And let us know as well just your overall experience, at Colchester. I know it's very different to Felixstowe, but make sure to come down and support the girls as much as you can. The Leicester game is a midweek on a Wednesday. But Portsmouth will be on Sunday at home. So 2 home games. But up next is a trip to Charlton at the Valley, another new experience for the girls to play at another stadium. I know Bethan Rowe will know that stadium very well. It's going to be an interesting battle for Joe Sheehan's team. But yes, Tom, thanks for joining me. Enjoy Croatia, my friend. Thanks everyone for listening to another Try to Girls Talk podcast. Check out our sponsors, Stardust Spirits and Molecular.
Molecular.
I don't know why I can't say it, ladies and gentlemen, but 2 very good Suffolk businesses. Use the code KOA10 to get a discount at Molecular for your motor, your needs, your cleaning and all that sort of stuff. And also Stardust Spirits, use the code KOA to get 20% off all your spirits needs and stuff like that. So check out 2 very local companies to Suffolk. And we'll be back after the Portsmouth game. So we'll be back next month. But that will come around very quickly. I hope you've enjoyed another episode. Check out Kings of Anglia stuff as well on the socials. And we'll see you next time. Bye for now.